All right, welcome back into the show, everyone. Tiger Talk Overtime on a Thursday night, and we want to welcome into the Morgan Bradley Alpha Insurance Tiger Line Brian Brinsfield, who is with us from the Senior Bowl this evening. And Brian, you had a chance to watch some practice today, both squads, and I know you have some guys that you coached in high school that are in the Senior Bowl, and you're making a lot of friends out there. Tell us about Thursday as we get close to the Senior Bowl on Saturday this weekend.
Yeah, they're fixing to wrap up today, but it's been fun. I've got a kid that I coached, Jordan Jefferson. He's a senior defensive tackle from LSU, playing right now, and they're finishing up right now. But I've watched the North. Got to eat breakfast with Patrick Nix, catch up with him this morning, and learn a little about the intricacies of having a son that is going to be a first-round pick. And what all that entails. But listen, Bo, I didn't know this. Bo had some bad press, but man, it goes up and down quick. As soon as practice was over, you could see. You just Googled Bo Nix or Senior Bowl practice, and he was on an upswing. So it's almost like trending or non-trending on Twitter. But he was on today. He had a really good day throwing the ball, and Penix Jr. was here. Sam Hartman from Notre Dame. The kids out here, the quarterbacks there's a kid from South Alabama that's here. Tulane quarterback is here, and Spencer Rattler from South Carolina, and then the kid from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I don't want to get too much into your personal business, but breakfast with Patrick Nix this morning. You got to watch Bo a little bit at practice, former Auburn quarterback who had a great career at Oregon, and I see some of his Oregon teammates are on the roster with him as well. But without giving away too many intimate secrets here, what was that like for you? I know you and Patrick are good friends at Auburn. What is he thinking, and what is that like for him watching Bo this week?
Well, I will say this, it, like I said, it goes up and down depending, but when you're a quarterback and receiver in a game like this, everybody else is a one-on-one deal. Defensive, offensive linemen, running backs are, they get the ball handed to them. The DBs are covering routes, and so they're in control of practice for them. The only people out of the control of their practice are really the quarterbacks and the receivers. If the receivers aren't catching the ball for whatever reason one day, the quarterbacks look bad, and vice versa. So, Patrick and I talked a little bit about, the big thing for Bo is going to be, I think, his pro day. You control that you've got your receivers, their timing, their speed, their routes, their cuts, things like that. So, for a quarterback, I think, this can probably only hurt you. It can help a little bit, but if you're a high pick, it can probably hurt you. I don't think it'll hurt Bo. I think he's probably the third or fourth quarterback coming off the board in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that was a question I had last week. I can't remember who we were talking to, but why does Bo Nix need the Senior Bowl? But I'm sure he wanted to come since he's an Alabama guy, and he's probably always grown up hearing about the Senior Bowl. But and I heard some stuff and watched some stuff when you texted me about Bo Nix. Some people were saying he didn't have the best first couple of days, but they said he was on today, like you said.
He was
on today.
They didn't throw a lot of deep balls. Now, and again, as a quarterback, when you're throwing a lot of deep balls like they did yesterday, there's a lot that can go into that. Do they get jammed up at the top of the route? What's the wind doing? What are the balls like? Are they rubbed down? They're new balls. The NFL used a different ball than college. There's a bunch of different factors. Now, Patrick and Bo are probably never ones to make excuses, and you don't want to do that. But he did. He had a good day today throwing the ball. What they did today was a lot of short stuff and red zone stuff, short field, short yardage. So where Bo is really good is his accuracy, and he put the ball where he needed the ball to be. Whether it was a fade route, we'll put it only where a guy could the receiver could get it, or a crossing in the back of the end zone where only his receiver could get it. He was on point where Penix and Hartman, who had, I think Penix had pretty good first 2 days, didn't look very good today. So who knows?
Yeah.
I will say the Auburn guys look pretty good out there, though.
I was just going to say that it's going to be an interesting matchup with Oregon on one side of the football and Auburn on the other side of the
Yeah.
football. Bo is going to be going against Nehemiah Pritchett and DJ James and Marcus Harris and Jalen Simpson during the game Saturday. So that's going to be kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah, he's going to be throwing against some Auburn DBs, and two of them I saw were out there with the first defense, and then one was on the first return specialist for punts. So we might see him in the special teams, but all the Auburn and Alabama guys look pretty good. Just on spec, just looking at them, they look good. But everybody does out here. But I was happy to see the two guys, the two Auburn defensive backs, one safety, one corner, running with the first team defense, and they were knocking down some balls on the goal line.
Yeah, you grew up in Spanish Fort, went to Fairhope. DJ James is from the Mobile area. Nehemiah Pritchett, not far away. What do you think that's like for them playing in the Senior Bowl, having grown up here?
It's a dream because you hear about it. It's in your backyard, and it's one of those things where if you can get to it, that's a dream. And unfortunately, back then when I played, they didn't take long snappers. They bring in long snappers now. So I didn't get to play in it. I wanted to, but it just didn't happen. So to be a hometown guy, I'm sure for the quarterback here at South, I can't think of his last name, but I'm sure that's a dream for him, and it's just fun. There's a heck of a lot more. There's probably 4 times as many people here to watch the South practice than the North this morning. And I think the hometown influence, or the home state influence, or the Southeastern influences the crowd out here.
Yeah. I know Coach Freeze was down yesterday to see his guys. And they hired DJ Durkin as the, I guess, co-defensive coordinator. The staff is pretty much put together now. How much have you been following that, and what do you think of the guys they have coming in and going out?
Well, I don't know many of them. I know names. I know their names. DJ Durkin coming from Texas A&M. I know he was on staff with Lane Kiffin for a couple of years, and I think he was the head coach at Maryland, maybe,
right,
at one time. But so he's got plenty of. I think this is his 3rd round in the SEC, so he's familiar with how we play ball down here, and hopefully, hopefully Coach Freeze is getting his guys who he wants, and they'll be ready to play in the fall, hopefully. So
yeah,
and I really do think they will.
Visiting with Brian Brinsfield a little bit, former Auburn Tiger at the Senior Bowl. And Brian, final question for you. I noticed that Reichert from Alabama is the kicker for the ball club that this American team, I think, that Auburn is on. But what does a kicker do during the Senior Bowl and a long snapper? You were a long snapper. What does a long snapper and a kicker do during the Senior Bowl?
Well, they're in practice very little. They long snap and punt and kick. That's all they did. But they're used to that. That's how practices were. At Auburn, back when I played, we had 3 different fields. We had an offensive field, a defensive field, and a special teams field. And we, the kickers and myself, back then we had, my freshman year, we had probably 25 kickers and punters. And I serviced all of them, unfortunately, probably while my back hurts. Snapping so many balls, but they just have the run of the field. I watched them this morning, and while the rest of the team's down doing team, they kick and punt and snap. That's it.
Yeah, about like normal.
But they're used to that. So listen, it's anytime you're here and you get to play some extra football, no matter what you're doing, it's always fun.
Yeah. Well, Brian, great to have you down here in person in the Mobile area for the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
got to say that I've also worked. Just make sure my employers know that I've worked a little bit today.
Absolutely. We'll get that
I'm
noted.
kidding.
Well, thanks for joining us and giving us an update on practice today. And as always, we'll see you soon in War Eagle.
War Eagle. Thanks, Doug.